From Denver, Colorado, home of RE/MAX World Headquarters, it's Adam Contos, CEO of RE/MAX with Start With a Win. I see producer Mark here. How you doing, buddy?
That's right. Here I am on the other side of this camera. I'm doing so good.
Whoa, what's going on with that voice, buddy?
Yeah, I got one of those traditional things they used to call a cold back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got a cold over this past weekend, and it's just those residuals. They just hang on forever. So now I got this sweet little bit of a in a world only one man can survive.
Are you doing like radio commercials now or radio shows?
Yeah,
or something
exactly. How have you been?
I've been really good. We're this is March now. A couple months ago, I announced that I'll be retiring from RE/MAX come the end of this month. So it's kind of cool. A lot of warm conversations and a lot of high fives, as well as a lot of well wishing going on. But it's really cool because been expanding out in the coaching and doing some public speaking, as well as helping people who have gone. And one of the things I really like is building executives. So helping people that have been in an MBA program or executive MBA program. I went through one of those several years ago, helping everybody really build a great leadership presence in their company based upon the knowledge that they've gained. Maybe they didn't go through an MBA program, but they just want to build that. So we've been working on that a little bit, but
nice.
Overall, just love the company RE/MAX and how everybody's treating me with this.
Yeah, that's awesome. And man, RE/MAX is on fire. I mean, if ever was a time to leave, it's bittersweet, right? Because in one way, they're just crushing it. And it's like, man, might as well stay around for this amazing thing. But on the other hand, it's like, well, there's other things you want to do. And it's a great time to leave on top,
Oh, totally. I mean, there's so much going on. We've already released all of our 2021 numbers and things like that. And it was a huge year for RE/MAX. RE/MAX did over 2 million transaction size. Nobody in the world did more than 2. I mean, it's never been done before. So in 2021, over 2 million transaction size and just a banner year. So you're right. I'm leaving at the top, as well as something I want to talk about today, which is trust. In fact, Newsweek and Brand Spark did a big survey of shoppers, and it reveals that RE/MAX agents are the most trusted by Americans.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that has any correlation to doing the most transactions as well as being the most trusted.
Hey, you never know. So, I mean, it's pretty cool when you think about it, because let's take a step back into 2020 when COVID was starting. And I was on this Forrester panel with some other CEOs, and we all were going through data about what the consumer wants. And the consumer really wants, in this order and heavily weighted to the front end of this, they want trust, safety, and inclusion in the companies that they do business with. So it was really cool to see the survey by Newsweek and Brand Spark, and just how they went out and unpacked that to determine who's the most trusted. Because truly, that makes a difference in business. It makes a difference in your life. I mean, don't you want to be trusted by people?
Yeah.
For crying out loud? And there are some ways to do that. So I want to unpack basically kind of 3 categories of how you can build trust today.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think it's awesome. I mean, I think trust it's interesting, and you're probably familiar with this, right? I tell my teenager kids, like, hey, trust is the one thing that you can give me and is the most valuable thing, because when I trust you, I can give you more privileges. I can, know that you're doing the right thing when I'm not around. And so you want to make sure to hold on to that. And even if telling the truth or, fessing up to something where you did something wrong, as long as you fess up, that's going to be less of a punishment than, if I find out that you lied and then I can't trust you, because that trust is so valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's 100% correct. I mean, we always talked about it in our house about, you have a trust account, and
like
you make all these deposits with
the
truth.
Trust bucket.
We need a big bucket that says trust on the
That's
side.
right.
Of
You
it.
just fill that bucket up.
That's right. Yeah. So the reality is it is a bank account, or it's a bucket or whatever. And as soon as you empty that thing out, life becomes a little more challenging.
Right.
So we have to continue to make deposits in that trust account, and there are some ways we can do that.
And there's 3 ways that you've identified to build this trust.
3 ways, and this is not my original work. However, I've been reinforcing this over quite a bit of time. This is also comes back to several psychology studies and things like that, and Harvard Business Review has done some articles on this, and people have written books about trust and things like that. But the reality is, yes, it functionally can be done in 3 categories.
Okay.
So, category number 1. Hey, Mark, can you give us a
category number 1?
Right, there we go. Awesome. All right. Well, this is a kind of a no-brainer. So when you think about it, trust for the most part is built by building relationships. So the category number 1 is you have to build positive relationships, and you have to look at the positive relationships that you have and the relationships that you have with others and that those others have with others. And when you have really, really trustworthy friends, those friends have really trustworthy friends. And then you get this web of trust going on amongst these people through those relationships. So that's really key, is how you build that. And here's one of the key aspects to that, Mark, is how do you resolve conflict in those relationships? Do you ignore it? Do you argue about it? Are you, humble about it? Do you have humility and things like that? And the reality is we're going to have conflict in life. And the most trustworthy relationships will go into that conflict and say, hey, Mark, I know we disagree about this, and we can respectfully disagree with each other, but let's figure out this conflict here. It's the tension's there. I love you, man. Let's figure this out so that we can move on with our relationship in a trustworthy manner. So super important.
All right. Number 1.
How about number 2?
Number 2.
Give me number 2, Mark.
Number 2.
No.
No. Number 2. All right. What's number 2?
Number 2 is judgment and expertise. So, particularly good judgment and expertise.
You don't want poor judgment and
not poor judgment. But, when people trust a brand, a leader, a human being, they're trusting that you make decisions that are mutually in the best interest of the situation. So you're not one-sided, you're not selfish, you're not self-centered, you're not egomaniac, you're none of those things, but you have good judgment when you're making decisions that, because let's face it, and there are a lot of people that need to listen to this, judgments don't just affect you. They affect other people. They affect businesses, they affect employees, they affect your family, they affect your reputation, which is how other people are judging you. So the reality is you have to use good judgment in order to create trust. And sometimes good judgment means, and just to take a little bit of a sidestep here, it does overlap with that relationship aspect. You're not flying off the handle at people. You're taking a deep breath and you're determining what is best for this situation. And a lot of times what's best for a situation is an everybody wins outcome. So the judgment can be not how can I take advantage of that person and that situation. It can be how can we all win together.
Right.
So we're talking about trust here. The first thing that we talked about was relationships. The second thing was judgment and expertise. So, your quality of making decisions, of solving problems, the speed to do that, and do you learn from those things? You humble during those processes. So people look for that judgment and expertise. Third component.
The third component of trust.
Thank you. That was perfect. All right, this one's pretty simple, but this is also a problem that a lot of people have, is consistency.
Oh, preach.
Oh, yes. So, really, what creates success in life? What builds trust in life? What builds a bank account, for crying out loud? Consistency. So if you think about the trust account that we talked about earlier in the show, if you make deposits in that trust account all the time, every single day, maybe you pick up the phone and call somebody every single day just to say, Mark, how you doing? we're great friends. I just want to check in on you. Just do that to somebody different every single day, and you'll be like, wow, I just built this massive network of trustworthy people that have great relationships with me. But it's consistent. And role models, leaders, if you're an executive in a company, one of the key aspects that your employees seek out is consistency. Why? Because they know what you expect from them and they know what to do in the company. There's clarity and consistency. So that clarity and consistency creates trust. That's a really important part of this. If you do something different every day, nobody's going to trust you for anything because we're not going to know what to expect from you. It's following through on these commitments and focusing. And here's the other thing. Being willing to go above and beyond for people. Give them more than they expect consistently. And that massively builds trust in a relationship, in a business setting, things like that. It's, and everybody says under promise, over deliver. Well, just promise and deliver. How's that? Give your brand promise and stick to it. What is the brand promise of Mark? What is the brand promise of Adam? What is the brand promise of listener? And think about that. So that's the takeaway that I want everybody to go away from this podcast with is sit down and say, what is my brand promise? Do I do it consistently? Do I work on my relationships? And do I exercise good judgment and expertise in this?
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think, these 3 simple ways to build trust are something that will also build your business, that will build your network. I look at, I've been in business with Brand Viva now for 6 years. And I started off with nothing, and then here I am 6 years later, and, business has been great. And I look at how I've grown my network, and it has just been doing these three things. I've grown relationship by being, trustworthy and consistent. And then that person then refers me to somebody else, and it just has grown organically like that over the past years. So, so for anyone who's looking of how do I grow my business or get more contacts, well, start by building trust.
That's right. Thanks for being on today, everybody. We appreciate you. Mark has some closing words to say in that amazing voice.
If you're ready to create personal and business success, make sure to subscribe to this podcast and head over to wherever you get your books and order Start With a Win, the book. For more great content, you can go to startwithawin.com. And until next time, start with a win.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun. Hey, we're on YouTube now.
What's up, YouTubers?
Hey, YouTube. Have you ever, has there ever been a time where you broke the trust of like your parent, like when you were a kid? Was there something you did that was like, I'm trying to think about one of the biggest lies I told when I was a kid. I mean, it wasn't that big. It wasn't too crazy, but I just moved in with my dad when I was 10 years old, and my sister had this 10-speed bike, and so she was 2 years older than me. So I would take her bike out and I would like go ride it around the neighborhood. Well, I was so mesmerized by the gears, where you could like test the gears on a bike, and the thing would go up and down. And all I had was a 1-speed Huffy before that, So I'm riding this bike through the neighborhood, and I'm looking down at the gears, and I hit this parked car full on. The front wheel collapses, and I go flying off the bike. And I was like, oh crap. So I pick up the bike and I start heading home. And I get home, my dad's like, what happened to the bike? And I was like, I don't know. The wheel just like went, flat. He knew I was not telling the truth, and I got in really big trouble. But that was a moment where I was like, dang it. Now I couldn't borrow the bike anymore. Once it got fixed, it was like, we don't trust you to ride this bike. And, that was the end of that.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced those. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've like scratched a car or, done something where you break something or whatever. It happens a lot in life. People make mistakes. And it's fascinating because, the truth is freeing when it comes to those things. It not only is it freeing, but it's also extraordinarily valuable in the deposits in those trust accounts, like we talked about. And it's hard because we as kids are like, okay, do I avoid this, or do I just tell the truth? And the truth has consequences, but it's funny because not telling the truth has more consequences. So how is it that? And this is a rhetorical question, but how is it that is not so easily taught?
Yeah, no, that's a true. It's like, why aren't we teaching that more? I think that would produce more freedom and more security, especially in younger people. And then as you get adults, right? Like, you think about all the problems that we have in society. It's just from people lying, politics, all these other kind of things, right? Not being honest and, fearing of what. And it's one of those things too, that as it gets, it perpetuates itself, right? Like, if you're not honest or trustworthy, then you feel like, all right, well, I can't now tell the truth because then my honesty or trustworthiness will be, lack of there would be exposed. And so then I just got to keep telling lies and keep, just snowballing this issue or problem or lie or whatever it is. So I don't know. But, anyways, well, hey, if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and click that thumbs up icon. If you are a fan of the show but haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe. And if you want to get notified every single time we release a new episode, click that bell icon and you'll get that notification. So thanks for being with us here. If you got questions or comments, leave those below. And until next time, we'll see you when we see you.